Hey everyone, this is Jane with Barlow Herbal. We got Dr. Brandon Nielsen here today, and we're going to talk about a subject that you should know more about than me, and that is the prostate.
Okay, well I still have mine, so I know.
So I have a little list of stuff that I wrote down on some natural ways to take care of the prostate, and I want to just get your take on them and get your input as a doctor on what you would suggest and as a person who has one of these.
Sure, let's do it.
Okay, so what I wrote down is natural ways to help take care of the prostate. The first one is to have a healthy diet, and then I wrote down consume a diet rich in fruits, vegetables, whole grains, lean proteins, and then include foods that are high in antioxidants like berries, tomatoes, and cruciferous vegetables. So what are your thoughts on that?
So yeah, I think that's great. Eating real food is great. The biggest thing with prostate I've found is, and if you are going to be eating vegetables, is you want to do organic as much as you can. We found the prostate is an area, think of like how low it is, and it's like an area of, can be an area of cesspool, kind of almost like an area that just collects junk, especially chemicals. And so
Really? I've never heard that before.
yeah, where I've seen a lot is pesticides. Pesticides with prostate is where I've seen a lot.
From consuming inorganic stuff, or
and passed down. I mean, it's a lot of times I'll see people like if I'm checking them and I'll say, man, did you live in a farming area? So a lot of times farming areas, they spray a lot of pesticides and chemicals. So I've seen a lot of prostate issues with pesticides. Sometimes as well heavy metals. And then the other biggest thing with prostate, probably even over those or in combination with those, would be infection.
So is there actually a test that you do?
So we'll usually use like electrodermal screening, but as far as a blood test, what I usually do is a percent free PSA. So the PSA it's a very general broad test, but I usually like to do on a blood screening percent free PSA, and it breaks it down, and that tells you in a percentage of your age how likely you are to have cancer depending on your markers.
Okay.
But what's crazy is I've had guys with cancer or they'll say enlarged prostate, and their PSA will be through the roof. But honestly, when they actually control their diet and eliminating especially dairy, and then eating clean, and so they'll oftentimes, like I'm just thinking of a guy right now, he was looking to he had done a physical, and his prostate was bad, and he had been on some testosterone, and sometimes I see testosterone mess with prostate. We won't go too much into that, but once I had him eat cleanly, and I'm talking clean, his prostate numbers were magical.
Yeah, it's
and his plumbing was amazing. And so sometimes, like I say, I'll add usually a homeopathic to help with the prostate. I may add some other thing for plumbing, like something for the kidneys or something for the urinary tract to get things flowing. But you have to be really cautious with that. I had a patient who was 90 something, and one of the things that we were really trying to balance with is because of his enlarged prostate, at night he was peeing a lot more often, but he was also going into kidney failure because he wasn't taking care of his blood pressure. So it was a very delicate balance, because if I got his flow going too much, then he would start peeing like crazy at night. But to me, it was much more important to keep his kidneys healthy, and his prostate was kind of secondary to his kidneys. So there's a balance of making sure the kidneys and the whole urinary tract works super well, but then also taming that prostate down. And again, the number one thing, honestly, you might not want to hear it, but exercise and diet. And diet being the bigger one of those two, and actually getting movement. So
It's amazing how it's those two things that comes down to almost everything.
Right?
Almost everything that ails us. Yeah, okay.
So what are the things that, really eliminating sugars, sweets, processed foods, and processed meats, you guys, processed meats. There's been kind of talk about nitrates affecting the prostate. Well, there's been talk about it. It's because it's true. It does affect it. All right. So eating whole foods, real foods, not processed foods, including processed meats. Meats I don't really have a problem with. In fact, sometimes people say avoid all red meat if you're prostate. I would disagree. You don't have to avoid all red meat, but I would really avoid sugar, sweets, avoid dairy, all of it. Dairy, you could get checked if there's an egg sensitivity, but generally eggs don't cause a prostate issue.
So are you saying to avoid dairy if there's a prostate issue, or just as a general whole food?
If there's a prostate issue, usually people are all right on dairy, like a little bit of cheese. Most people nowadays don't. Well, I guess most people I'm around, they just don't do a lot of dairy. They'll do cheese sometimes. But I know there's still a lot of people out there who drink a ton of milk. But
I know that seems so odd to me now.
Because
I grew up with a glass of milk sometimes for dinner.
That's what we did too. But I see dairy probably affect the prostate more than other. Why? I haven't completely figured it out. I don't know if it's the hormones in there or what, but
that makes
it's
sense.
one of the biggest effectors of prostate, as well as sugars. Those are probably the biggest. Sugar, sweets, corn syrup, anything soda.
Yeah. Oh yeah. So that to me is so perfect. So
anyways,
what's your thoughts on omega-3 fatty acids?
Oh,
like fish, salmon, sardines.
Yeah. So I usually do that in a capsule. I don't eat a ton of fish. And part of the reason is because my family doesn't really enjoy fish. Not that my wife used to, but she had a really bad experience when she's pregnant, and since then she does not like fish. So when I eat fish, I usually eat my own fish, but I usually get omega-3s in EPA DHA in a capsule.
Yeah.
And it's very clean, no mercury.
Yeah.
But I definitely support that. That's one of the keys you should have every single day.
Yeah, and I do that as well. But it's super
omega-3s, yeah.
Super good for prostate health.
Super good.
Yeah. And here I've got exercise regularly. Okay. Limit red meat and dairy. So you said, and this was a general thing that I pulled off. So
red meat, just do a lot less. Like red meat affects the kidneys, breaking it down. I just have people almost always still take a little bit, but unless they have high uric acid, sometimes I won't. Even though organ meats are more for uric acid and sugars are more for uric acid, sometimes the red meats bother, with the kidneys breaking down the proteins. But red meats, no, don't completely eliminate it. Maybe even eat it once a week.
Yeah.
Twice a week, but still get it in. There's nutrients that you're not going to get anywhere else except from red meat. So I usually have people eat just a little bit still.
Yeah, okay. What about staying hydrated? I mean, that seems like a no-brainer.
Super important.
Yeah.
Even though your prostate isn't part of your urinary tract, everything still, it's weird. It's just like keeps things flowing. But yeah, you just need it. Your pee should be about kind of a light yellow. It should never be a yellow, dark yellow. You always want to keep it about a light yellow.
Yeah, I think the easy thing is to remember that what percentage of our body is made up of water.
Yeah.
So it's like drink water, be like water. So lycopene rich foods.
Yeah, so as long as you're not sensitive and having arthritis, then you can do tomatoes. But sometimes people with the nightshades, they really bother them. So as long as you don't have kind of arthritis in your hands, knees, joints, then totally lycopene-rich foods are fine, especially your tomatoes.
So how does does lycopene-rich foods actually nourish the prostate specifically?
I don't know the actual biochemical mechanism, but just through the years, people have found out that lycopenes definitely decrease inflammatory response in prostate.
Yeah, so here what it says is they may have protective effects on the prostate.
They do, but they have to say they may have, but they do. You'll find it in every prostate supplement. There's always going to be lycopenes and usually pumpkin seeds and
Yep.
But the thing is, again, you guys, if there's an infection in there, that's like one of the most important things is to take care of the infection. And that's very common with prostate, is a low-grade infection, like a bacterial infection in there.
Does being overweight put stress on the prostate?
Definitely does. It causes stress to anything once you're overweight. And so, honestly, think of, again, I said the prostate as an area of, it's a low area, and it just kind of, I think of it like it's a collecting area. It isn't really, but that's why you've got to get movement, walking, movement, and it just helps. Movement actually decreases inflammation.
Yeah.
So.
And the thing is if you're having inflammation, it can be hard to move, so you just got to move through the uncomfortableness to get it going, right?
Or even stretching.
Stretching is even
Stretching
good.
is one of the best things you can do. Stretch. Most guys, especially, they're not very flexible.
Yeah.
Think about how unflexible guys are. Guys are not flexible.
It's unless they make a point of it. Like,
I mean, I almost want to get down on the floor and show you how flexible I am now, and it's not very flexible still, but it's because I've worked at it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, and but you have to.
You do.
So this one is a no-brainer, and is easy for some people. Limit alcohol and caffeine.
Oh, yeah.
To me, that's kind of a no-brainer.
Sorry, I didn't even mention that. I didn't even think about that, but
Well, it's because
alcohol I actually think of as sugar, and so it's just a straight carb that you're going to drink. Alcohol is just, it just does not help.
There's
with
nothing
anything.
redeeming
It
about it.
It may taste good. I know some people say it tastes good, but honestly, it does nothing.
You want me to tell you what I've been studying the scale of consciousness by Dr. David Hawkins and a lot of his works. And he wrote a book called Healing and Recovery, and there's a chapter on alcoholism. And I almost skipped it because I for a lot of years I used to enjoy a glass of wine with my husband, and now I'm 6 months. I'm done. I'm 100% done. But what I read this chapter a couple months ago, and I almost skipped it because I'm like, well, it doesn't really apply to me. But I'm glad I didn't, because what he says in this book is that when you drink alcohol, it actually brings you up to the level of courage on the scale of consciousness. Because if you think about what happens when people, they become, they get courage to talk to the person, or to be a little more gregarious, or to let their guards down. Because what happens temporarily is alcohol actually diminishes those lower vibrational energies of fear, shame, guilt, apathy, all of those. So when people have their drink every night, it's because they're released. They're able to numb out those lower frequencies. So you get to the level of courage. But the thing is, it's super temporary.
Yeah, it is.
And then you actually feel worse, and you've done a ton of damage to your body. So when you learn about these things, and there's no judgment on if people drink a lot of caffeine or if people drink alcohol every night. I have no judgment for that. I do believe that when you learn about these things, and especially when you understand the damage that alcohol does, not just to men and their prostate, but your brain.
Oh, your brain especially.
It's because it's a neurotoxin.
Yeah,
so,
it is.
And as a person who didn't even have my first alcohol drink until I was 34, and I enjoyed a glass of wine every once in a while, and now as a person, I'm very new out of haven't had a drink in 6 months. It's beautiful to be in higher consciousness states and taking care of your health and all of your organs and systems without that little bit of a crutch that you need to bring your consciousness into a higher state. I mean, it's a really beautiful place to be.
It is. What's crazy is that you actually start becoming you. You're not using an exogenous substance to become you. You
become the real you.
The real you.
Yeah,
that's cool.
It's really cool.
Yeah, that's awesome.
Yeah, it's cool. My husband was a little disappointed. In fact, because he cooks.
Probably enjoyed that time together,
and he would pair a nice bottle of wine with the meal. Because he's the cook in our family, and And it's kind of like, he asked me about it a couple months ago, you think you'll ever have a glass of wine again with me? And I said, I don't know. I kind of left it open. And, you know, it's sweet and genuine, and it's an important part of his life. And,
Sure.
And it's okay. But, you know, I brew myself up a cup of tea every night for dinner. And it's amazing how actually easy it is, because it's like, it's just a habit. Because I never drank alcohol to get courage or to take away my lower states. I always drank it because I enjoyed it with a meal, or it was in a
social aspect.
It was a very social aspect, and it was not on a super regular basis. But anyway, so I just think that it's something to explore if you are a man and you have your prostate and it's important to you and you would like to be healthy. I think that the alcohol component is a very important piece to consider, because the things that it can provide for your health beyond your prostate is exponential. And I believe that there's a reason that we are here at this time, is to take care of our body and vibrate at the highest consciousness levels that were possible. And alcohol numbs you out to that. So anyway, I could obviously go off on that for a bit. Manage stress.
So important.
Yeah.
One of the things that, especially with guys, is they need to make a goal of progress of certain things they need to do. I know this because guys work. That's why video games work so well with boys and guys. They don't work very well with girls. Guys, we're built to compete. We're built like hunters and fishers. We're programmed to go out and slay the dragon. And so one of the things with prostate health and emotional stress and just stress in general is you've got to actually create goals of progress that you want to make. I say that because, like, for me, I'm constantly trying to be better, and how can I refine myself even more? And what I found is when I set a deadline or a goal, it allows me to then overcome certain things that are causing me stress. Let's say if I have 5 kids, and I feel like I was resorting to like raising my voice and trying to get my kids to get things done. But as they started to realize, and one thing, like I've already said, yeah, no spanks for me. I just don't do spankings because they don't work for my kids, okay? They don't. And I just said, there was at a certain point where I said, okay, nope, cutting that off, absolutely none. And I just tell my kids, no, I'm not going to give you a spanking. Because the kids cause stress, right? And so I'm trying to figure out.
Kids cause stress?
Yeah. So like with them though, I'm trying to figure out, okay, so what's my next level of progress I can get to? And then my next level was like, okay, I'm not going to yell. There's no yelling in my house for me, okay? And that's what I'm saying as far as stress. And what I've had to do is set a hard deadline when I'm going to, and I'll oftentimes like ponder that, how I'm going to do it. Kind of like you with alcohol. You finally made a deadline and said, okay, I'm done with that. No more, done. In the future, I don't know, but right now I'm done with that. And I think that's a great way to manage stress. It's a different way at looking at, but having a goal where you're going to actually say, okay, I'm going to do this by this time. And I pray, of course, and ask for help. Mm-hmm. But I even was accountable like to other friends and just said, hey, I'm going to do this on this day. And it was February 21st of this year. I said, February 21st, there's no more like yelling in my house from me. And so I think that has really helped me manage my stress to actually create a deadline when I was going to end certain things. But before that, there were other little goals along the way. And managing stress, I feel like men, you need to set a goal, get it, or if you didn't get it, back up and say, why didn't I get it? But keep helping yourself get out of stress and putting yourself in such stressful situations.
No, that's really good.
Kind of a different way to look at stress.
No, it is. And I think that stress is such a pivotal thing for all of us, and what it does to your organs. And I don't think we realize. And this is where, let's wrap this up by talking about some of the herbs that are good, because to me, this segues into something like a really good adaptogen. Adaptogenic herbs help balance body chemistry and help to let your body know that you're going to be okay. You're not running for your life. You're not running from a tiger or a bear. You're simply dealing with modern stress. And these herbs are some of the most powerful, beautiful things. In fact, I'll put a list below this video of some of my favorite adaptogenic herbs.
Okay.
Now, there's also some herbs that are really nourishing and good for the prostate. And I have a list, and most of these are actually in our Prostata. And my son, Scott, who's 42, has been taking Prostata for the last 2 or 3 years and has noticed a huge difference just in getting up and going to the bathroom in the middle of the night, which is really good. And you'd think, well, he's so young, but he still has a prostate, he still has the stressors, he still has all the things, and he's working on, he does the exercise and working on his weight and all that. So some of my favorite herbs are saw palmetto, pygeum, stinging nettle, pumpkin seeds, of course. Pumpkin seeds are really rich in nutrients that help support and nourish the prostate. Green tea, zinc, and selenium are all...
Selenium is phenomenal. Again, selenium is you're going to pull your halides out. You're going to help, All of those are great.
Yeah.
Pygeum, all that. Saw palmetto, phenomenal.
Yeah.
Lycopenes.
Yep. So I would say find a good adaptogen if your life has a lot of stress in it, and really start looking at some natural herbal remedies. We need to remember that Mother Nature gifts us all of the tools to help us take our health into the place where it can be, and also help us get moving more. I've got a product called Endurance that has a beautiful adaptogenic mushroom called cordyceps in it. And it can help you also get the motivation and build the stamina physically to actually get up and get moving. So I hope this has been helpful. If you're a guy and you have a prostate, I think it's good to remember that you're the one that has control over. Maybe I should let you end this since you're the guy.
Sure. I think I was just thinking, like, a lot of times as men, we don't have time, it feels like. And one of the things that I used to do for all health is I just started walking. Yeah. That's all I'd do in the morning. And I'd go out like on a gratitude walk is what I called it. And then I have a lot of my patients, I just say, okay, pick one portion of your exercise or of your day where you take literally like 3 to 5 minutes and you think of all the things that are stressing you. And if you're pounding, in that moment, you get it out. If you're running, you get it out. If you're walking, with each breath, you're just letting out all those things that are stressing you. What was interesting is after walking for quite some time, one day, my body I just felt like running. And I just started running. And now I play every day. Almost every day I work out, and usually I do pickleball almost every day as my singles, not doubles.
That's a big thing.
Singles, not doubles. I do singles, so I'm running all over the place. And again, it's a outlet to get rid of stress, but you have to actually intentionally focus on the stress and then let it go. It's like the study they did with the women that were maids in hotels.
Oh yeah.
And
I love this.
And they actually told them, hey, did you know that while you're fixing beds and vacuuming and doing all those things, you're actually burning so many calories, you could actually lose weight. They didn't change anything of the routine. All they did now is they came to realization, they were intentional, recognizing that just by them working, they could lose weight. And guess what happened?
They lost weight.
They lost weight.
Remember
they changed
seeing this
absolutely
study.
Nothing. So you have to be intentional about letting go of the stress at a certain part of your day. And the way I usually recommend is, if you have a flat tire, stress, you actually have to focus on the flat tire for a minute, get it changed, and get on your way. But if you never actually focus on it for what is actually stressing you, then the flat tire never gets changed, and you keep running life clunky.
Yeah. No, that's perfect.
That's super helpful, not for just all you men, for your lives, but especially for your prostate. And let us know. Let us know how that helps.
Yeah, I'd love to hear what you guys think, because I think that all of these systems are so important, and there's a common thread that runs through them. Exercise, clean eating, stress management, and I think having fun. When you said you were playing pickleball almost every day.
Well, I have fun.
Yeah, I think we forget to have fun and have joy in our life. I mean, that's one of the reasons we're here. So yeah, thanks for tuning in, guys. Let us know what you think about this, and we'll see you next time.